Hello and welcome to Northwest Indian News. I'm Carissa P. Pudd-Ramsey, a Tulalip tribal member. Traditionally, Native American history and culture has been sadly neglected or misrepresented in the public school system. To correct this inequity, local tribes joined with lawmakers and educators to create a resource that would accurately teach students about tribal history, sovereignty, and current issues. After years of development, the Native American history curriculum, since time immemorial, is ready for Washington classrooms. NWIN was there when the groundbreaking curriculum was unveiled for teachers. Wayne Messer has the story.
Teachers in Washington State are excited to use a powerful and important curriculum being made available in their classroom for the first time.
Look at your charts that you made out on the regions. You'll see a lot of those resources.
In April 2005, Governor Christine Gregoire signed House Bill 1495, requiring Indian tribal history to be taught in Washington's public schools. After several years of development, educators, partnering with the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, have completed the long-awaited Native curriculum.
This is really designed to really educate people about who we are as sovereigns and breaking down those that misinformation so that the next generations of students that are coming out of school, they'll have a better understanding of who we are, and they might not say, oh, well, why do these Indians have this right to fish? You know, we have the right, we've always had the right, and that right was preserved in our treaties.
They are taking a look at nation building when they get to the high school level.
Educators were introduced to the new Native curriculum titled Since Time Immemorial at a professional development conference sponsored by the Western Washington Native American Consortium in February 2011.
Since Time Immemorial is a curriculum project whose purpose is to support teachers and students and teach both about tribal sovereignty and also about the impact tribes have on their lands, both in the past and in the present and in the future. The likelihood that our curriculum actually gets introduced to the classroom is greater, I think, because of the format that we use. We meet teachers where they are, and so when they feel comfortable with the curriculum and the amount of time and leeway that they have to be able to present some lessons, the students then benefit by getting a far much more engaging lesson and far more engaging curriculum.
Who was absent yesterday?
There are well-meaning teachers out there who really, really want to include multiple perspectives, but don't know how and don't know where to look. This curriculum bridges that gap and gives them a place to go that they can rely on the material, they can rely on its place-based origin, that it relates to their students, and it helps those teachers then understand their students in return.
The web-based curriculum integrates easily with the teacher's existing lessons and are accessible with the click of a mouse. Teachers in 14 different Washington schools are pilot testing the programs in their classrooms.
After nearly 2 centuries of wandering, the Mexica people...
There are many ways that teachers can use this curriculum to either teach a one-day lesson, a one-week lesson, an entire unit. Whatever time they have, they can use aspects of this curriculum to do that. I think that students need to hear the voices of history. In order for students to really become involved in history, they have to learn the stories of the people that experienced that history. This curriculum helps give more voice again to the stories, and that's what makes history fascinating. Using this curriculum has brought an excitement to our studies that at times has been lacking, and it's been a lot of fun.
So more people to help them hunt, get food.
I think the most important goal is that STI strives to build relationships between public schools and tribes. Too often, tribes have been taught about, and this curriculum encourages tribes teaching with public schools, and that makes the entire difference.
What's in the water that would... So salmon?
This program provides the opportunity for all grade levels to learn from an evolving and authentic curriculum that's been missing for far too long. For Northwest Indian News, I'm Wayne Messer.
When we return, we'll meet First Nations painter Daphne Ojig, considered by many to be Canada's premier female artist.
She's got many Aboriginal awards.
and she's received a gold medal from Queen Elizabeth II.
That story and much more on this episode of Northwest Indian News.
Who says that all good things must come to an end? That nothing lasts forever? That you can't turn the tide for good? For us, protecting nature comes so naturally. We're the tribes in Western Washington, stewards, and have been for centuries to come.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in natural resources.
The main goal of the Tulalip Forestry Program is to preserve over half of our reservation in the forestry classification.
The Tulalips manage their tribal forest lands, create jobs, and also work with the U.S. Forest Service in our national forests.
We have a very unique collaborative effort here with the Tulalip tribes to restore the landscape for future generations.
Tribal stewardship of natural resources across Washington is an investment that benefits everyone.
If I stay on the res, I'll be 8 times less likely to drop out of college.
If I stay on the res,
I won't be just another number.
I can learn biology in my native language.
If I stay on the res,
I will learn about the old ways so my culture will live on.
If I stay on the res,
I will make my parents proud.
I'll make my people proud.
Our history will not be forgotten.
If I stay on the res.
If I stay on the res.
Learn more about the tribal colleges and how they're helping Native American people. The American Indian College Fund, educating the mind and spirit.
Welcome back to Northwest Indian News. First Nations artist Daphne Ojig has had a long and celebrated career. As one of the founders of the legendary Indian Group of Seven, she helped to remove barriers for Aboriginal artists to gain access to the mainstream art world. She has garnered numerous awards and honors, and this year, 3 of her paintings were featured on Canadian postage stamps. NWIN was granted a rare interview with this fascinating and influential artist. Kimberly Stronghart brings us the story.
Canada Post recently issued a set of stamps to commemorate First Nations Canadian artist Daphne Ojig. The stamps and booklet successfully captured the essence of Ojig's woodland style of art. We recently had a chance to discuss her art and its influence with Stuart Turcott of the Hamilton Galleries, as well as the amazing artist herself.
Daphne is a very important Canadian artist. She's a living Canadian artist, a female, an Aboriginal female, that has risen to the highest echelon of what we expect of our artists in Canada. She's had shows at the National Gallery, pretty much every other major gallery across Canada. She's in the largest collection. She's in the McMichael collection. She's in the National Gallery. She's an RCA. She's had every accolade that possibly you can get. She's an officer in the Order of Canada. She's got an Order of BC. She's got the Governor General's Lifetime Achievement Award in the Visual Arts. She's got many Aboriginal awards. And she's received a gold medal from Queen Elizabeth II. She's literally the most famous living female Canadian artist that we have.
Well, I would like to mention my grandfather. I was his little shadow. I followed him everywhere. My grandfather was a tombstone carver, and I watched him carve and lettering on the tombstone and thing. So being with him all the time, I think that sort of motivated me into doing a lot of sketch work, because I sketched with him also on the thing. But again, you have to have this within you. Whether it would come out in other places if I didn't. You know, there was a gallery in Winnipeg said to me, "Your work is not native enough." You know, that I couldn't understand. I'm not trying to do native work. They say it wasn't fine art. It belonged to the arts and crafts thing. Yeah. But I ignored that. I didn't believe that at all. I like challenges.
For Daphne to be part of the native group of 7, which it became called, and really she was the driving force behind it, because they were all a little scattered at times and would go off in their own direction and really didn't have the focus that Daphne had. And she was the one that really kept them together and kept them working as a group, and really led to their gathering the fame that they did while they were together.
We hadn't planned on having 7. It just happened that way. So there we are, group. Then we started having meetings, and then people would ask us if we would have a show here and there. That's how it started.
One of the most important images that Daphne's ever painted was commissioned by the Museum of Civilization when it was built. And when they commissioned it, they asked her if she would do a very large image. And so she did. And they were surprised, almost shocked, when she'd completed it that was 27 feet long and 8 feet high. It's one of the most important paintings that she's ever done, possibly the most important painting. And a lot of us refer to it as her Guernica. Like she was compared to Picasso, some of her paintings were also compared to some of Picasso's paintings. The first third of the painting on the left-hand side shows the Indian the way that it was before we were discovered by Christopher Columbus. And so to represent Christopher Columbus, there's a little man in a blue and white navy suit. To the left of that is the native before his coming to the world in the West, and it shows the Indian with all of their traditions intact. The drum, which is a symbol for their traditions, is working and intact, and everything looks to be going on the way that it should. In the center portion of the picture, the drum is now broken. There are teachers preaching to the Aboriginal people, reading from books. There's a hint of Christianity as being part of this whole process, and at the bottom there's an empty liquor bottle. So it's showing all of the bad things that came after Christopher Columbus discovered the Western Hemisphere. And the final third of the painting on the right-hand side shows the Indian of the future and how they are going to transition into that. And it shows the drum once again repaired and the Thunderbird of protection looking after the Indians, and the suns come out and everything's in good shape again.
I find anything that I've been asked to, I always find it an honor. It's an honor. It was an honor to get the Order of Canada, an honor to get OBC, British Columbia, the Order of British Columbia. I'm proud of all these things now. I feel I've really accomplished something. I've gone beyond being just that little Indian girl. I've proved that I could be better than that little Indian girl.
For Northwest Indian News, I'm Kimberly Stronghart.
The endeavor I wanted to take on
Coming
was
up
the
next, we'll see the new license plates issued by the Yakima Nation.
1855 of the Yakimas is just as important because it expresses that sovereignty in many ways. It affords the Yakima people a right to govern themselves, to regulate themselves.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in health care. The Jamestown S'Klallam tribe is expanding their health care clinic to meet an ever-growing community need.
Quality health care of our people, of our citizens, Indian and non-Indian alike, is essential for our future.
This new 35,000 square foot clinic will provide medical services and be open to the general public. Tribal governments are investing millions of dollars each year across our state to improve health and dental care in our communities.
That's the bottom line for us, is quality health care.
The future of our people is threatened by diabetes, but we can fight it by controlling our blood sugar.
I choose healthy foods.
I exercise every day and keep my blood sugar close to normal.
I always take my medication.
Control your diabetes because our young ones look up to you. We must take charge for our future generations. Control your diabetes for life. Call 1-800-438-5383.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in education. In Auburn, the Muckleshoot tribe just opened a new state-of-the-art $40 million school for up to 500 students in grades K through 12.
The tribe has made an investment in the Muckleshoot people, not just into facilities, but into the people to gain an education.
We want our children to be able to succeed in life. We want them to be able to compete with anyone in the world and achieve whatever they need to in their lives.
Welcome back to Northwest Indian News. The Yakama Nation, in an exercise of sovereignty, recently issued Yakama Nation license plates. These plates are not Washington state plates, but serve the same purpose. They register motor vehicles to the government and are recognized in all 50 states and Canada. The new plates available to members of the Yakama Nation have been turning heads on and off the reservation. NWIN's Raven Speaker brings us the story.
Your friendly neighborhood Raven Speaker has come to Yakama Nation to meet some folks who are quietly changing the definition of sovereignty by the simple act of signing up for a license plate.
Getting a Yakama Nation license plate begins with a visit to the Tribal Police Department. The goal is to make sure there can be no legal questions when one of the plates issued is driven off the reservation.
The vehicle has to be here. We have to inspect it to know that it's road safe. We have to follow these guidelines because, you know, they're not Washington plates, they're not Idaho, they're not Oregon, they're good anywhere. And if we didn't do all of this stuff behind it, the Office of Legal Counsel wouldn't be able to take up their case and defend them. On the bottom of the form, we also have to sign off if we believe this vehicle is safe to be on the road. And after that, we'll issue you a plate number, tabs, and you're basically on your way. It's pretty simple.
A Yakama license plate is good for 2 years and costs a money-saving $25 over that period. And in the short time since they've been issued, they're already creating quite a stir.
I was at the Pendleton Roundup and I was pulling out and people were walking by the busy streets. And it was kind of funny because those people stop, they look down, you know, they look back up and I go, wonder if they think I'm some kind of really important tribal official or something.
I don't know if I feel like a warrior. I feel like I'm a representative of a government.
As nothing like this had ever been done before, we caught up with busy tribal chairman Harry Smiskin in Olympia to ask him how the Yakama license plate came about and whether or not it is legal.
Sovereignty is very much a priority. One of the things that happened after I first got elected in January of 2010 is the endeavor I wanted to take on was the identity of our Yakama people. The inclusion of the Treaty of 1855 of the Yakamas is just as important because it expresses that sovereignty in many ways. It affords the Yakama people a right to govern themselves, to regulate themselves, and to make their own laws and to live by those laws.
And I really think that Yakama Nation just opened up a whole new chapter to Indian country in general. And I think in the long run of things, this is going to open the door to many opportunities for economic development for individuals that want to start their own business, for individuals who believe in our tribe as being sovereign, but haven't witnessed our tribe to be sovereign.
The tribe's legal team has found both precedent and treaty rights allowing the Yakamas, and probably any other tribe, to create license plates and even register the owners of vehicles.
First, the Yakama Nation and its treaty enjoys a treaty right to travel that's pretty extraordinary as far as rights go and treaties negotiated between tribes and the United States. So it's a very powerful right that I felt, in my legal opinion, gave the Yakama Nation a right to commence this program to register and license its own vehicles.
I need a copy of your driver's license and enrollment card.
When the tribe took the first step in doing their own business with the license plates and taking that from the government and doing it themselves, that in turn says to our tribal members, you guys have this right. And the more that they understand they have that right, they're going to be more effective in getting the confidence and the knowledge they need to be entrepreneurs themselves.
It's a very distinct, unique plate. When you drive up on a vehicle, the first thing you see on the plate is Yakama Nation's arrowhead logo on the back of the plate, along with the Treaty of 1855, and it says Yakama Nation Treaty of 1855 on the plate. I think that instills a little bit of pride in that tribal member, knowing that he's a little bit different and unique than the rest of society.
One thing we are seeing is how this simple act of sovereignty is instilling pride in the Yakima people. As Tribal Chairman Harry Smiskin told me, for a people to be sovereign, they must first act sovereign. For Northwest Indian News, I'm your friendly neighborhood Raven speaker saying, Dimalgik Nietsen.
Visit nwin.tv, where you can view every episode of Northwest Indian News on demand, including the stories you've seen today.
And in the short time since they've been issued, they're already creating quite a stir.
I was at the Pendleton Roundup, and I was pulling out, and people were walking by the busy streets, and it was kind of funny because those people stop, they look down, they look back up, and I go, wonder if they think I'm some kind of really important tribal official or something.
You can also watch NWIN and other Native programming at canoetv.com. When we come back, we'll meet a Seattle chef who is all about fry bread.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in jobs. Job-creating investments like the $350 million container terminal in Tacoma.
Puyallup Tribe, through Marine View Ventures, is partnering with SSA Marine to develop a 200-acre, 3-berth terminal, which at full build-out will be the largest terminal in the Pacific Northwest.
Tribal governments are investing in Washington's economy, creating jobs in many different industries. Everyone's working together to make it happen.
Who says that all good things must come to an end? That nothing lasts forever? That you can't turn the tide for good? For us, protecting nature comes so naturally. We're the tribes in Western Washington, stewards, and have been for centuries to come.
Well, culture is important to the Squamish people because it's an honoring of our ancestral ways and traditions and the ways that have been part of this landscape for thousands of years. So for us, we're honoring our ancestors, and we're also building for our future generations, our youth.
You are welcome to come ashore, and yes, our culture is alive.
I couldn't be more proud of the Squamish.
Cultural, versatile, and delicious. Just some of the words that can be used to describe fry bread. From powwows and ceremonies to Indian tacos, fry bread has a long history in Native American culture. NWIN's Sherry Macy serves up this tasty story.
Many people associate fry bread with early times on reservations, but others say its true history dates back before written records. Whatever its history, this delicious treat has become a part of Native tradition. We are here at the Woodinville Farmers Market, where hopeful Seattle business owner Lorraine Weeks is sharing her Res Fabulous fry bread with the Woodinville community.
One day we were at a powwow, and someone had joked about being ghetto fabulous. And I had said, well, I'm Res Fabulous, and so is my fry bread. And the name just stuck right then and there. I said, well, that's, if I ever have a fry bread stand that I take away from the powwows, that's what I'm gonna call it, Res Fabulous, because I think everybody should enjoy a little bit of the reservation. Most of the basics are flour, some kind of a riser, and then a liquid mixer. It just depends on what you want. You know, you start with a basic recipe and then you change it from there. I think every Indian woman has their own cooking secrets and tricks that they'd like to keep to themselves and keep secret. I think about all the women in my past of my family who have, you know, gone on, and I connect with them. It's something that they taught me. I can teach my sons and my grandchildren, and it can go on, and we'll keep this tradition alive.
That's a lot of food.
Been trying to bring fry bread out to, you know, outside the Indian community, because every time I mention that I do make fry bread to someone, they say, oh, I love fry bread, where can I get it? and I never have a place to send them. There's no place to go and get fry bread. You have to wait till a powwow.
Lorraine is taking her fry bread off the reservation and into the community. Res Fabulous is the first fry bread to be served in a farmer's market in King County.
There's a lot of challenges with the ins and outs of the health department and the regulations, you know. There's the business aspect. I took business programs, but it's taken me 6 years to find a spot that will let me sell fry bread to, you know, the outside world. Okay, there we go. Nice, hot, fresh fry bread. Fry bread can be many things, actually. It's not just a piece of fried dough. You can put corn in it, you can put jalapenos in it, you can eat it for breakfast, you can eat it with soups, you can use it as a hot dog bun. Fry bread is very versatile. I've been to different museums, especially museums dedicated to Plains Indians, and I have seen very old photographs of Sioux women cooking bread in what appear to be buffalo hides that were, you know, heated by hot stones that were heated in a fire. I see that and I think about how they used to have to make fry bread before the modern times. You know, they used wood ash as a riser instead of yeast or, you know, baking powder. And, you know, they ground their own flour out of, you know, different grains that they gathered. This is something that my people cooked for at least 100 years that I know of. As long as there are, you know, Native people in the United States, I'm sure there'll be fry bread makers among them somewhere.
Fry bread is a delicious treat with as many variations on recipes as there are toppings. With people like Lorraine, fry bread will continue to be enjoyed by future generations for years to come. For Northwest Indian News, this is Sherry Macy reporting.
I'm Carissa Peapud Ramsey, and I hope you've enjoyed the stories we've brought to you today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Northwest Indian News.